What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Fanatic Show. As always, we are live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube and Twitter channels. Guys, do yourself a favor, do us a favor. Make sure to hit that follow button on all social media platforms. And if you want to be interactive throughout today's show, like our man Martian is already in the comments, make sure to check out the YouTube link specifically. It's in the link tree in our bio on Twitter. It'll take you directly to all three of our YouTube channels, specifically the Philadelphia one, where you can get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up with us, and make sure to smash that subscribe button. We're over the 150 subscriber mark on the newer channel, so help us get to our first goal of 200 and keep climbing on from there. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Eagles, Giants preview on a Football Friday. Flyers lose last night to wrap up their West Coast trip to start the season. They're 1-2-1 with 3 tallied points on the young year. Jared McCain takes a scary fall and is taken to the hospital after the Sixers preseason game the other night, but he seems to be doing okay now. We're going to talk about that preseason game and kind of looking forward towards the regular season before we actually give our predictions for the regular season on Monday. But tap in, subscribe, follow, do all that good stuff. My man, happy Friday.
Yes, sir. Happy Friday, my man. I was just getting the show shared out, so I wasn't ignoring you. I promise that. We are. Yeah. I promise you. I heard everything, Dylan. I'm ready to get into it today, man. But no, a happy Friday to everybody. Obviously, the Flyers late night loss, looking young out there in the West Coast, but we got the Birds this Sunday. It's going to be a big matchup, big rivalry game, right, with our New York brethren. Trinidad in the chat. Man, perfect timing for the New York representative to show up in the chat, because that's what we're going to be talking about.
No, he's a Patriots fan. Don't forget.
Yeah, the Patriots fan, but he does represent New York very well, so we got to give him his respect there. But yeah, man, I'm just joking around. I'm having some fun today. I'm feeling good. Yeah, let's get into it, man. A lot to get into.
Let's start with that Eagles-Giants game and break this down as best we can. Obviously, we'll be live on a pregame show on Sunday morning to give our official predictions. But the Eagles head into this one, obviously, a half game or a game behind the Washington Commanders so far, sitting at 3-2. The Commanders are 4-2. Taking on the lowly Giants, 2-4, 0-3 at home. Couldn't move the ball last Sunday night at all against the Cincinnati Bengals at home, only putting up 7 points. They're beat up. They're injured. I know the Eagles are a little injured, but the Giants have a laundry list of injuries, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. I believe their left tackle, Thomas, is out and might be out for a significant period of time. So they're beat up. Saquon Barkley returns to the Meadowlands. It's going to be an interesting game, man. But I'll throw it to you here. We've kind of been going with the motion with this Eagles team. Ever since the bye weekend, that Bucs loss. And we've kind of just been going back and forth. What is this team, right? The defense shows up one week, they get their teeth kicked in another week. The offense looks okay for a few drives. The offense looks bad for a few drives. They're 3-2. They're a Saquon catch away from being 4-1. Is this a bad team? Where do they match up across the NFC? The thing is, I need to see a professional win on Sunday. And what I mean by that is I need the Eagles to go dominate the New York Giants. Yeah. I need the Eagles to play 4 quarters of football. I need the Eagles to play a clean game, to win a turnover battle, to cover. What's the spread? Is it only like 3.5 or it's 3 at the moment? It's 3.
Yeah.
So you go out there and dominate this New York Giants team. Go out and dominate Daniel Jones. Malik Neighbors may be on track to play in this one, returning from that concussion. But nonetheless, it's going to be a good matchup, obviously, for a guy like Quinyon Mitchell, which will be an interesting battle to continue to watch. But I need the Eagles to go play a dominant football game if I'm going to be, I don't want to say persuaded, because I am, I think we are a little overreactionary and a little too down as a fan base on this team for the start that they've had, all the injuries they've had, etc. But they also have not played a clean game. So I need them to go and dominate the New York Giants on Sunday, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it's funny you say that about how, like, kind of where you're at with the team right now, because I kind of feel the same way. And I feel like almost after the W on Sunday and then the reaction to Sirianni, I almost put on like my chip on the shoulder underdog cap for the Eagles.
Yeah.
It's almost like it just has to be that, like, for
Yeah.
some reason when everybody's just counting them out. But no, I'm not going that route at the end of the day. You're going into a part of the schedule where they're not underdogs by any means. They have an opportunity to take advantage of a weak part of their schedule, a weak overall schedule, quite honestly, when you look at the rest of it, man. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm actually a little bit higher, I feel like, than maybe the public or what I see on X, right? The way they're talked about. I'm a little bit higher on them right now just because they are getting healthy. I know no Jordan Mailata this weekend, so we'll see,
No
how
Dallas
Fred
Goedert.
Johnson can do
Yeah.
on the left. Yeah, no Dallas Goedert. Grant Calcaterra looked good last week. Can he be consistent? But when it comes down to it against this Giants team, it once again, we look at it and it's the same thing as the Browns almost. Like, talent for talent, like, it's not really even close, especially on the offensive side of things. So when you look at the Eagles offense, once again, knocking on that door, this is the perfect opportunity to come out and explode from an offensive standpoint, have a 30 to 35 point game, put a notice out there that the Eagles are and can run an efficient and prolific offense. And so, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Like, obviously the defense needs to come out and do what they did last week in a sense, right? Like, just maintain, maybe grab a turnover or two. That would be great if the defense could, get an uptick in turnovers here, because they are one of the worst teams in the NFL at that. But yeah, I think for me, it's once again, I'm looking at this offense that I came into the season thinking this part of the team is top 5, top 3 in the NFL. These weapons are elite. Like the AJ Browns, the Devontae Smiths are the top of the class in the NFL. The Saquon Barkleys. I didn't look at the defense that way, so I'm not expecting them to just come out and be this prolific unit. But against the Giants, I do expect them to come out and look similar to what they did against Cleveland.
Because you
There's
need
no
some
reason
consistency. You need consistency from that side of the ball. The offense, I'll get to in a second. I think you're 100% right. But from the defensive side of the ball, like, we have lowered and tempered expectations for the youth of the defense and Vic Fangio's scheme and everything. But when you go back and look at their total work through the first 5 games of the season, you and I talked about it on Wednesday. What they got their teeth kicked in against Tampa. That was it. Like, yes, the final drive against Kirk Cousins is not acceptable. They gave up 22 total points and shouldn't have been on the field in the first place.
That's what I was just thinking the other day, Dylan. This team could so easily be 4-1 right now, and it might just be a completely different story. Like, you would throw that Bucks game out, bad matchup, whatever. Todd Bowles versus Jalen Hurts,
all the injuries,
100-degree weather, right? Defense on the field the entire game. You could throw it out if it wasn't for that Atlanta game.
You would. The other thing, though, just to play devil's advocate, and I hate to be this guy because normally I am like the rah-rah, we're okay.
You have to. The
devil's advocate side of it is we could also feel that way if the end of last year doesn't happen. So the point is, even if they're 4-1, even if they don't blow the Falcons game and they win, what would that have been? 21-15 or 21-16, whatever they had at that point. Are they playing inspired football? Are they playing good football? So like last year, 10-1, we ignore all the signs, we ignore all the issues, waiting for that domino to fall. It finally happens. It's like, that's just still lingering in my mind. Maybe it's not right on me. It's not right to bring last year's trauma into this year, but it's the way they're playing. So from the defensive side of things, you need to see consistency. If you were going to go out there and look pretty good against Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, if you were going to go out there and be put in bad positions against Jordan Love and the Packers because your offense is turning the ball over and you keep holding them to field goal after field goal and you turn them over a couple times. If you were going to go out there and hold the New Orleans Saints to 12 points after they put up 90 plus in the first 2 weeks of their season, but then you had the letdown. So it's like, this is not the week to have a letdown, because if you have a letdown against this offense, again, we beg the question,
what are you?
What is their identity? How can they do this one week, but then make Daniel Jones and Devin Singletary look like this? So the defense needs to have a very, very good game. I would say about the same thing you did to Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. I would say
Yeah.
it's a very similar position there. They didn't give up a touchdown. I know it was a special teams touchdown on the block field goal. So if they give up a touchdown, I'm not going to be ripping my hair out because they gave up a TD to Daniel Jones. But nonetheless, they need to have a consistent game. It's the offense for me, though, man. It's 110% the offense. It's where all the money is being poured into. It's where all of the talent lies. It's where most of the leaders are on that side of the ball, and they haven't put it together. They haven't been healthy. We know this, but they are now. And I know no Mailata, no Goddard. Fred Johnson, with those injuries to the Giants' defensive line, I'm expecting our line to be okay, man. Goddard, it's not AJ, it's not Smitty, it's not Saquon. Calcaterra had like over 50, 60 receiving yards last year. I think you can manage life without Dallas Goedert this weekend. The thing for me is you want to put my questions and the fan base's worries aside. You want to make us believe that you're different, that you are a good football team. Better score points in the first quarter. You better look prepared to start the game on the offensive side of the ball. If this is a 3-0 or 0-0 game with 12 minutes left in the second quarter, there's going to be more questions than there are answers at that point, Scotty. And I heard someone say this the other day, and it's the most real thing I can use to describe Nick Sirianni and the issues I have with him versus the team, okay? The end of game, and really for 95% of the game, it's more so on the players. It is on the players to execute. Things happen. You get into a rhythm, etc.
Yeah.
But the first quarter, they're the only team not to score a point in the first quarter of every game they played so far. In the first quarter, the first drive, the first two drives, what is that? That's script. That's script. That is what you are going into with this plan. And you're the only team not executing your script. That's coaching. 95% of the game, it's on the players to execute. It's on Jalen Hurts' decision-making at the line of scrimmage. He has more control. But the first 10 to 20 plays, 15 plays, that is a script. That is a game plan. And you are the only team in the National fucking Football League not to score a single lonely point in the first quarter. That's coaching. So, Nick, Kellen, you want to cast aside some of the strays you're catching, some of these bullets that are being aimed at Nick Sirianni's head right now? You better look prepared and ready to go win a football game this Sunday.
Nah, I wouldn't take a 17-14.
No.
You can't, not 2 weeks in a row. Like it's like the last week we had the field goal block turns into a touchdown, maybe makes the score a little bit closer than what it should be. He still only scored 20 points. It's not really acceptable either. It can't happen 2 weeks in a row where you just shoot yourself in the foot and allow a team that shouldn't be really close to you as far as caliber of play stick around like that. But I'm with you, man. I do feel you. And I was gonna like kind of present devil's advocate to the early script. I'm not arguing your point. You're spot on. There have been some things at the beginning of games, drop passes, different things like that have stalled out drives as well. But my counterpoint to that counterpoint would be, let's start the game with some rhythm throws and some short throws, some crossing routes. Use the middle of the field, get a feel for the game before we
turn around and give the ball to 2-6, man. It's not.
I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying, you want to get your passing game going like that. I get it. Like sometimes you're going to run the ball with Saquon and it's going to get stuffed. And I think last week they did run the ball first, gained 5 yards, and then they threw 2 deep shots. Like to your point, but like if you want to get Jalen in a rhythm, throwing 60-yard bombs isn't doing that. Look at Lamar Jackson's like throwing patterns in his game. Like he was 23 for like 29 against the Commanders last weekend. That's called getting your quarterback in a rhythm. So, like, either way, like, I do agree with you. Run the football, first of all, and especially this weekend against the New York fucking Giants. Run the football with Saquon Barkley. But if you want to get your quarterback in a rhythm, throwing
I agree.
60-yard passes to AJ is not the way. And then the next drive
Correct.
or the next
Yeah.
play, you see a 60-yarder to Smitty, and he was
Yeah.
pass interfered. But why are we throwing that to Smitty? That's not even really his game.
Jalen Hurts started the game 0 for 5, and I believe if not 4 of 5, all 5 were throws 20+ yards down the field with tight coverage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not against it, right? You want to get your passing game going. You want to get Jalen in a rhythm. You want to get the ball in your playmakers' hands early. Do exactly like that's my point, man. Like we're two bozos with a microphone and a podcast. Yeah. These dudes are being like,
Never
this is your job. You've been around the game of football, calling plays, scheming offense for fucking decades, and you can't just do the simple things. That's all it is. It's taking the points, running the football, getting AJ Brown on a fucking slant, using one of those mesh routes to Devontae Smith early. Here's an idea, man. If you don't want to just simply turn around and hand Saquon Barkley the ball, throw him a little slip screen. Just see, you're right. If you want to get Jalen going, it's like an NBA player. You got to see one go in, get a layup first, hit a free throw first. You got to see it. All right, well, just hand to hand, just dump it off to Saquon. Maybe he picks up 6-7 yards. All right, there we go. There's a little bit of rhythm, but they don't do that. So when I say just turn around and hand the ball to Saquon, I just mean it to fucking get out of your own way and simplify things, bro. You're right. I believe he picked up 4 or 5 yards on first down last week.
It was 2nd and 5.
They then turn around and throw the ball 25 yards down the field, back-to-back plays.
Yeah.
Like that is so, and maybe it's a combination of Jalen. Like I know we're throwing all of that on the coaching staff and that's the play.
Maybe it's Hurts changing the play.
Maybe if I watch the tape, there's a route underneath that Jalen could have thrown it to, but like I'm not absolving Jalen Hurts by any stretch. Like he's ultimately the one chucking the ball into tight coverage down the field on 2nd and 5.
Yeah.
But like, just again, you go back to the Tampa Bay game. You don't give Saquon Barkley the ball all but 3 times at halftime. Like, and then you make excuses for it. What was it? The Atlanta game? He literally didn't touch the ball in the first quarter. There was one of the first 3 games he didn't touch, or the Saints maybe. He literally didn't get a carry in the whole first quarter of 15 minutes, man. Like that. Just get out of your own way and give that monster the fucking football.
And when you get into position, Dylan, like I do love the aggressiveness, the assertiveness. I do love our identity with the tush push, especially if it's under a yard or a yard and less, right? If you're in position to get 3 points in the first quarter, just take it. It's once again just seeing the ball go through the net. Like,
and that's it's another devil's advocate point.
Done that several times, man. Where
they did it the Falcons game as well. The Falcons and the Saints game. Like we would not be having this conversation about this team having 0 points in the first quarter if the head coach just kicks a field goal. Because to your point, man, you put together a successful opening drive. You move the ball down to your opponent's 28-yard line, whatever, stalls out because of a holding, blah, blah, blah. But again, just see one go through. Just get out. Just get a tally.
0 on the board after that is deflating. It's deflating, and then it kills your whole first quarter.
And the thing is, the moment you punt away those 3 points by going for it and not getting it, is the moment you're now chasing those points the rest of the way. Because now, why are you – so you're going to not take the points on the first drive 0-0, but what happens if you go back down the next drive, it's still 0-0? How are you going to sell me on the decision to kick it now? Why? What's the difference? So now you're chasing. Just take the fucking points. Give your offense some confidence. Give your defense some goddamn confidence. Let them play with a little bit of a fucking lead for once.
Yeah, it is. It is insane, man. I do feel you. At the end of the day, they got to have some better decision making, and it's just that simple. It's that simple. You come out, you give these guys a couple rhythm plays to get in the motions of the game. Instead, they come out, and it's almost childish, man. You get AJ Brown back, and you just can't resist. Like, you just can't resist on the second play of the game for the offense to just chuck it. And it's just like, man, come on. We have to have some patience within the offense. There's a ton of talent on this offense. Why? Like, for example, we see the 2 Jahan Dotson plays, right? Just 2 plays. One was like a carry out of the backfield, and then the other was
a first down catch on the sideline.
Like a crossing route, right? For a first down. that's just it from him, right? Like throughout the season. But that's the type of stuff that we're looking for. Those are the little plays that need mixed in constantly between
Yeah.
Smitty, Dotson, Calcaterra,
And I
Goddard,
just
Saquon, Game, like all of
brother,
these players.
I
And we
just go
just don't
I
see
go
it, man.
back and it does like
But that's
I'm
Kellen
not
Moore, right?
what?
That's Kellen Moore, right? On those plays, that's Kellen Moore getting Dotson the
That's
ball.
I was literally just gonna bring that up to you. Like that's I don't want to go back and hammer the Nick Sirianni topic more. But when you
Yeah,
say that,
yeah,
it's bringing up each and every single year that Nick Sirianni's been here. Every year we talk about the wide receiver 3 position. We need an upgrade at wide receiver
yeah.
3. And we've had everything from Quez Watkins to Julio Jones to the dude from the Colts that came over the year we went to the Super Bowl. I'm drawing a blank on his
Pascal.
name. But yeah, Zach Pascal, Olamide Zaccheaus. Now
Yeah.
we have Jahan. We've had multiple different guys. You're seeing Olamide Zaccheaus somewhere else. You saw Julio Jones, and it's like, what's the common denominator? It's Nick. So like, it makes you think like, okay, Sirianni's offense does nothing for the wide receiver 3 position. And
Yeah.
every year we keep thinking, oh, we just got to get someone else in here, someone better in here. Why?
Yeah.
Dude, he could trade for Cooper fucking Kupp right now, and whoever's lining up as the third wide receiver won't see the football.
Yeah,
Whether
it
it's
doesn't matter.
whether it's Cooper, they won't get the fucking football because they just like, and that's what it makes you think. Like, so
It's so interesting though, man. Because like, do you remember at the beginning of the season when Britton Covey was getting some reps on offense, and there were like these designed plays for Britton Covey?
these design screens. Yep.
These design screens, but like, is he the only player in the wide receiver room that can do that? Like Dotson can't do that. Like Dotson is this bad.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe it. I can't believe it, man. I can't believe
agree.
it when I do see OZ go to the Commanders and play with a rookie quarterback and have a better season
6
already.
catches for 82 yards one week and a touchdown another week. And it's like, dude, he had 2 touchdowns here. And like even in those games where he helped produce, he had like maybe 2 catches.
Yeah.
Maybe his touchdown was his only reception. Like they don't operate in that way. And it's very confusing, man.
I thought there would be games where, you know, maybe AJ would have to sacrifice and be decoy. And now, to be fair, AJ just came back.
He's only
So
played
maybe it will happen. But like I just pictured like a game where maybe Dotson has like a 5-catch, 80, 90-yard type of game and really leads
I'll tell you quite simply why it's never going to work with Jahan Dotson here. It's a sad thing is we've already gotten not our wish, but something we talked about that we could look at. Oh, well, Jahan Dotson's our third, but he's a really solid number 2. So if one of them goes down, Smitty or AJ, slides in the 1, and then you have your number 3 become your number 2. Dude, we've had Jahan Dotson be our number 1, and he can't get targets, and he can't get the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
Like when we traded for him, the thought was like, oh, if one of those 2 go down, Dotson can step right in, and like we won't see too much drop off.
Yeah.
Dude, we've had both of them go down, and he still does not get the football.
Yeah, like did he have a catch in that book?
To me, bro, it's never going to. There's not going to be a Jahan Dotson game or streak where he is a big part of this team's success.
He just doesn't fit. Is that what you think? Does he just not fit the offense? Is that what it is?
I can't believe that. I can't do that, man. I just I can't.
Like you see wide receiver threes.
This dude was he was all over the Eagles the other day. Now we're 2 days away from game day, and this dude wants the Sixers talk. Pick a lane, bro.
He wants to talk about like freak injuries. We'll get to that, man. We'll get to that. It's not that they are stressing, but it's like it's not like the end of the world type of stress. It's just like be who you're supposed to be.
I gotta be honest,
like,
dude, this team,
live up to your expectations just a little bit.
Not like they haven't like taken the wind out of my sails, but it's not that I don't care. I care a lot. I care too much.
Yeah.
But I'm not stressed in a weird way like I normally am. To me, I have an idea of what this team is, and for the time being, my expectations are lowered. And until I see real changes, consistent changes, until I see them go out and beat the Giants like they should handle the Giants, it's not that I don't care. It's not that I won't be cheering, but I'll be sitting back a little bit more relaxed than I normally am during an Eagles game because why? Why am I going to fucking have my heart rate just beating out of my chest?
I wish I could say that, Dylan. I wish I could say that. I'm going to be sitting here frustrated as fuck every fucking game.
I'm going to be frustrated. I will be
every game that they play below expectations. I am sick of it. I am sick of it. My level is like up here of frustration when I'm watching the game, man. Every single thing that they do wrong ticks me off.
Frustration, sure. I just think the disappointment factor is gone for the time being.
It's
like they can't. They're not disappointing me because of there's Nick. There goes Nick again, throwing 5 straight balls down the field.
You go out and you lose to the Giants, you're gonna disappoint me, man. Like there is lows of lows that can be accomplished here, but I do feel it's like if we go up, late in this game and it's a close game, I'm already gonna be thinking in my head, this feels like a loss already. And that's where I was at kind of in the Browns game. Like I didn't feel like we were going to lose, but it felt like a losing effort, if that makes sense. I don't know. There were positives in that game as well. The offense did look good at times after the first quarter and a half. I'm not trying to be completely negative. It's not completely negative. It's just we want more. I want to see more. We wanted the complete game against Cleveland. We didn't get it. I want it against the Giants now. I want to see it.
Yeah.
And until we see it, how can we believe it, right? Like you look at the Lions, you look at Ben Johnson and the way he's running that offense. How would we beat the Lions? We're not consistent in any manner enough to beat a team like that.
So but then the frustrating part, man, the frustrating part about last week, and I know they're just kind of getting reacclimated to being together, but how'd the offense produce the way it did against Green Bay? Like that happened this year. That happened to open the year
turnovers
with all of those weapons. They were able to score 34 points with turning the ball over 3 times. So that's my question. You get what I'm saying? It's there. Something is there. And it looked like a Kellen Moore game. We talked about play design. We talked about motion. And for whatever fucking reason, it's completely gone. It's completely switched.
Quit calling it a shake. It's a coffee, dog. It's an iced coffee. He's calling it a shake. Nah, I'm drinking the iced coffee to get the energy, man. I'm trying to bring the right energy. But I think you're spot on with that Green Bay game, man, because I go back and I'm looking at this box score, and I'm just looking at our offensive output. Jalen Hurts had 2 interceptions in this game. He also lost a fumble in this game.
Yeah.
But you look at his numbers, 20 for 34, 278, 2 passing touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, 24 carries. Mm-hmm. Ding, ding, 109 yards, 4.5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns for Saquon. Yeah. Hurts had 13 carries, 33 yards. A.J. Brown, 5 catches. Devontae Smith, 7 catches. Dallas Goedert, 4 catches. Saquon, 2 catches. Grant Calcaterra, a catch. Kenneth Gainwell, a catch. The ball was being spread around. The ball was being ran with Saquon.
Yeah.
It's almost like it was.
Scotty, bro, I know it's a very small detail, and I know it probably doesn't make a fucking shit's difference. But again, week 1, when you're coming into week 1, that's shit that you probably have gone throughout training camp, right? So explain to me how Will Shipley has a role in this offense week 1, and he has not touched the football field since. He didn't, it was all a decoy. That's all it was. And I know I've said this multiple times on the show, and people are probably like, why does this man care about Will Shipley? I want to know what changed from that 34-point output, the first time all being together with all the negatives that came in that game. You still scored 34. AJ with a big play. Saquon goes off. Different guys are getting in the game to be used in the backfield, etc.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen any of it since that week. You bring up Saquon Barkley, man. 24 carries in that game. We know the output. 22 for 95 against the Falcons. Saquon Barkley hasn't carried the ball more than 18 times since.
It's like going down.
17, 10, 18 in the last 3 weeks.
Guys were out.
What the fuck
Guys
are we
were out
doing
during those games.
Yeah.
Like,
Honestly,
it's crazy.
Bro, what are they like? I don't fucking understand what they're, and that's my point about how I'm just done. I have no faith or confidence in Nick Sirianni. He is the most stubborn motherfucker you are ever going to meet. He cannot get out of his own way. I don't understand, man. I'm really, I know we're past like the toxicity of that conversation, and we want to focus on the football team. But look at what's leaking into this football. You're telling me that's a coincidence?
Yeah.
No,
I feel you. I don't know. I do feel you. It is a struggle with Sirianni.
He's only had one bad game. Last week, Saquon got shut down a bit. Scotty, even in the 2 games before that he didn't touch the ball too much, 10 carries and 17, he averaged 8.4 and 8.6 carries with a long of 59 and 65 that he broke off in each of those 2 games. How do you not give that man the ball more, especially when you're injured? You were beat up. You were missing other stars, and you didn't rely on him.
That's what I mean, though. It is such a simple fix, though. It's such a simple adjustment that it can be made at any time. So we just need to see it be made. And the thing that I always come back to, Dylan, I do feel you, but the level of competition that this team is going to be playing over the next few weeks, like even the Commanders, man, like we are starting to believe the Commanders are this good team in the NFC. But it's a rookie quarterback in the first half of the season. He might get figured out. We don't know. I saw this chart, and I'll bring it up again. Throws to the right side of the field a lot. He rolls out to the right side of the field a lot. That's called a tendency. That's something that gets picked up on in the NFL. We've seen it with Jalen Hurts. Teams have picked up his tendencies. So his play has gone down a little bit, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day with this schedule, like anything is possible. That is the bright side where you can have optimism this season. But I do feel you. Like, that's me trying to believe that they can be more talented and outperform the deficiencies of Nick Sirianni. And it might not be possible. It might not be possible.
And that's the part. And man, I gotta be honest, I'm almost like past being frustrated with Nick to the point I'm just being frustrated with Howie and Jeffrey. Like you guys are enabling all of this, and you like what to your point, man. Scotty, I don't care. Like I'm being honest. I don't care if they reach the divisional round. If they win a playoff game, they could win a wild card game and then lose in the divisional round. If this simple shit does not get fixed, I do not want him back. I don't care if he makes the playoffs again. I don't care if they win one game over Seattle or Dallas or whoever they beat and then lose the next round. It's the simple shit, man. If they're not starting good, but they're winning ugly, if Saquon's not touching the ball, we are going to do the following year is the same fucking shit we did all year this year. So unless he figures it out and this changes, which to get back to 2 days from now, that's what needs to change. There are 2 things. There are 2 specific things I am looking for from a coaching perspective this week to have your guys ready and in your game plan. A, there better be a productive first 2 drives of this game. One of the first 2 drives, even if I know people are going to be freaking out if they go 3 and out, but even if you go 3 and out the first drive, get a stop, and then march down and score a touchdown in the first. Like, one of your first 2 drives has to be successful, has to be productive. Show me that you are aware. Show me that you are accountable. Show me that you can have your team ready to play. I know it's the Giants. This is the second biggest rivalry you have, maybe the biggest to some, especially with Saquon. Show me you're prepared to play this week. Come out, be productive on one of the first 2 drives. And the other thing is you better give 26 the ball 20 plus times this week. There should never be a week he doesn't touch the ball out of the backfield as well, like catching the ball 20 plus times. If he has 19 carries and 3 receptions, that's fine. If he has 25 carries and no receptions, that's fine. But he needs to have the ball in his hands 20 plus fucking times. Because if you continue not to do it, that trend isn't just going away.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. No, it's just interesting. I was reading Darius's comment here, and it's like if they make the NFC Championship,
I don't disagree, dude.
you
I don't.
fire your coach though. Like that's gonna happen. Like that's not gonna happen, man. That's not gonna happen. They're not gonna make the NFC Championship and then fire their coach.
I agree.
It's not gonna happen.
Would you want him gone though?
It depends how it looks. It depends how it looks, man. If it looks like this, then yeah. But if it's what we saw during the year that they went to the Super Bowl, more of that prolific offense, then I can't be mad at that point. But like, I
think the Darius
team is built to make it that far.
Yeah.
This team is built to do it. So if it doesn't happen,
at this point, he's saying, like the stupid decision, like if these tendencies are the because I only
and I know that's what you mean as well. I was like,
didn't this fan base just want Rob Thompson fired? So I was like, yeah, I don't care how far they go. If he still looks stupid, like there's whatever. But yeah. And just to Scotty's point, I think D-Rab is like, if they go out 37-31, like the defense can't get a stop and the offense is high flying, that's not going to be something on him.
Yeah. And we're not talking about the Eagles.
I didn't say they're losing to the Giants.
I've never said that they're going to lose to the Giants.
They're going to beat the New York Giants. They need to dominate the New York Giants.
Nobody was talking about losing to the Gates.
They're going to win, just like they beat the Cleveland Browns, but that's not good enough. Beating the Giants by 2 or 3 is not good enough. Like I've seen you say 17-14 multiple times. If that's your prediction, I don't care. I don't. If that happens, I'm just sitting back like.
You score under 20 points. I get the Giants are like boasting this like top 10 defense, like whatever. I'm not hearing that. Like this is a prolific offense. This is what it needs to be. They need to score 25, 30 points a game. Like not just against the Giants, a game, man. So no, 17-14 will not be fulfilling. I do think to your point, it being against the Giants, Saquon's old team and narratives, I think it plays into our favor as fans that Saquon will get the ball because Nick Sirianni, he's
Nick
not one thing. Yeah. He's corny. So you will get Saquon the ball against the Giants. Don't worry.
You know Nick loves a good pander, and that's exactly what he'll do. And too, like if Saquon scores and the crowd starts booing, Nick's going to start talking. And I don't mind that part. Like I don't mind that energy.
Yeah.
But like
is there let me ask you this. And is there anything that this team can do throughout the rest of the season that could not win you Sirianni's trust back?
Yes.
But maybe just get him on, get on the same page as him, like rooting for Sirianni. Like, Sirianni. Like, is it possible? Yes.
It's possible. It's not probable because he won't do it. But it's possible that I can be swayed the other way because all he has to do is get out of the fucking way. That's all he has to do for me to be back. That's fine. Bro, I didn't want him back at the end of the year. But when they went out with these 2 coaching hires, I said, you know what, man? Let him go be that rah-rah personality leader type of guy. If he would just take points, manage games, and stay the fuck away from the offense, I'm fine with him as the head coach of this football team. But he has done none of those things successfully in 5 games. He's managing games terribly. He's physically hurting them 2 or 3 straight weeks. And now you find out he's calling a play on defense here. He's taking over on random 4th down situations. Get the fuck out of the way. Yeah. And I will be fine with you. Yes. Like, if I see the Eagles offense reach that potential consistently, maybe it's not even this week. Let's say it's against the Jags on Sunday night at home, and they go on a 4-week stretch where this offense, Jalen's playing clean ball, Saquon's explode, and they're putting up points. That's what I expected from this offense. So, I can, if that offense looks the way I thought it could, I think this is a team that can make a run in the NFC when you see how weakened it is, especially. Yeah. But until then, Fuck no. Like until
I'm
like,
tired
even
of
this
giving
week,
them
like,
excuses.
here's what Nick Sirianni gets if he gets out of the way this week. If the Eagles go and score 31 plus points this week and they beat the shit out of the Giants, you know what they get? That's
they
what they
did what
get.
they're supposed to.
And then if they go and beat the Cincinnati Bengals on the road, they get a little louder clap. It's there you go. I need 3, 4, 5 weeks of seeing consistent level of play with the issues.
I won't lie to you. They go into Cincy and they go mano a mano with Joe Burrow, bro. I might be on a little bit of a high horse if they're able to do that. I won't lie to you. I know the Bengals have been horrible this year. I do know that. But like when you say like the offense like stepping into a groove or like maybe like figuring it out one week, I look at that game and I'm like, you have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow across from you. It's a very winnable game. It's a game that you should win if you want to compete in this conference and win your division. Go out there and put up points against the Cincinnati Bengals, match and beat Joe Burrow and that group of guys, and just show that your offense is better. Simply, that's what the goal should be in that game. So that game, I am like, even with the Bengals like 2-4, I am kind of looking forward to it. But no, week by week, like you said, you got to go out here, dominate the Giants this week. You get a clap on the back for that, a pat on the shoulder, whatever you want to call it. Then we move to the Bengals in Cincinnati. You got to go out there and get a W too. So it's going to be each and every week that we're going to come up to this matchup. Depending on what happens the week before, we're going to go into this matchup basically thinking, like, once again, this is a game the Eagles should win. Every game outside of the Ravens matchup the rest of this season is a game that the Eagles should win, barring them being healthy.
They're probably going to be favored in.
Maybe the Commanders in Washington, you're not favored. Maybe. But once again, I got the Eagles winning. I got them dominating this weekend. It feels like the energy is down. That's where this team is. They've been confusing, and I think that's what we sound is confused.
Because like I know we have obviously a lot of different personnel than we did in that game last year, but like I can't help but like not forget when we lost to the Giants on Christmas last year. You know what I mean? Like we did. Too. Like, you know what I mean? So no, but I do have confidence that they're going to win this week. I just that's the sad part of it all. But however, to play devil's advocate on myself, I do think the overall vibe and negativity is too far. So like my point, like my expectations are tempered. They're lowered, but bro, you guys are, how do you guys watch a YouTube show and go, they look nervous? By what? He looking shaky. Yo, this kid. My expectations are just tempered.
Looking like when he talks about the birds right now. I want to know what his face looks like. I don't know.
Yeah. We do want to know what Martian's face looks like. I want to know a lot about Martian. I want to know what Martian's face looks like. I want to know what Martian's age is. I don't even know if this dude's white, black, Hispanic. Me, Scotty, is he like? I don't know.
Artificial intelligence.
I have no idea who Martian is, bro. Who is this man?
Oh man, I will say this, dude. The Giants have not allowed 30+ points in a game this season. So the defense, once again, they are, by the numbers, statistically a top 10 overall defense in the NFL. But the most points they gave up was to the Vikings in week 1, 28. He's Allen Iverson. Okay. Fine. Or is he Tobias there?
I'm only laughing because I told Scotty before the show, we were talking about this when you were commenting, and I said, like, when you first started commenting, you can't see, like, it's so small on our screens, the names and the Abby's comments. We just thought you were some light-skinned dude. And I'm like, and then, like, I remember being on my laptop and, like, you get notifications on the DSM YouTube page and it said like Martian comments or whatever. And you click it and I'm like, that's fucking Allen Iverson, dude.
Thought Martian was a light skinned brother. Damn, Terry trying to talk smack.
Terry, you drink for 13 hours straight and see if you can get up and do a podcast tomorrow, okay?
Oh man, nervous for the Giants. That is something. That is something.
I don't want to profile, but the name took me there a little bit. The name got me there. Trinidad. I don't know.
Jay Trinidad.
Maybe racist. I don't know. I don't know.
With the gasoline on the fire.
I just kind of assumed by the name, but
Jay Trinidad. He's a regular here now too, man. It's very nice having you all here, though. We're all this is an inclusive community here, so everybody's welcome.
Terry. Stay
on the court.
Terry.
Oh man, Terry going at you now.
Big dog.
Challenging your drinking integrity.
Yeah. I'll start howling.
Oh man. It's Friday, isn't it?
Scotty's seeing your boy in action, okay? It was there are just some nights when you mix, Terry. See, that's my thing. More just a beer guy. Not just a beer guy, but it's like it has to be beer and very limited liquor. The issue with this past weekend was lots of both. And bad combination. I wish it was a beer. I wish it was a beer.
Friday mornings get wild. I don't know.
Oh, and I was just kidding, but I don't know. Like, what is Trinidad? Like, I don't know where. I don't know. But
for me, Trinidad. Yeah, I don't want to be like. I don't want to say anything wrong.
It's not saying anything wrong.
Interesting. So he says it does trace it back to Spain. My mind went to, so he said typically African East Indian. I was thinking like Jamaican,
Trinidad and Tobago country. It's a country in the Caribbean.
Yeah. See, I was thinking like Jamaican, like Trinidad, like reggaeton. Like, I don't know.
Ethnic groups: African 40%, East
This
Indian,
isn't a diversity class. I promise you.
European,
but I think it is
China,
good to.
Interesting. Martian, what ethnicity are you? What'd you say?
It's like I don't know, yeah, like Trinidad. I've heard like Trinidad associated with like a New York type of culture, but there is a lot of Hispanic culture in New York as well. So I don't know. It's interesting. We learning something today. Thank you, Jay Trinidad. It's good. Common in Mexico or Philippines.
You learn something new every day, brother.
Yeah, we're learning on the morning show. That's good stuff.
So much that degree did for us.
Trinidad bringing the fire, man. We do got a Sixers game tonight too. Is that what I'm seeing here?
Do we? Yeah, we do. And you know what, Scotty? I don't need a single rotation player playing tonight. I will let Jeff Dalton and Justin Edwards and Adembona and company play all 48 minutes if they choose to do so. I don't need any more injuries. I don't need any more scares. Like, I don't know if you remember from last preseason game. What's that shit again? I can't even do that. Is that right?
Oh, it's getting weird on here, man.
Yeah. What is in that shake, Scotty?
Coffee, I swear. It's a little bit of iced coffee, dude. But got me.
Where was I? Oh yeah, like obviously the Jared McCain thing we'll get to in a second, but like I don't know if you remember Tyrese Maxey was like down in the paint and like I don't know if he got like kicked in the head or something, but he was grabbing the back of his head for a minute, and I was just like, dude. Like I get him off the floor, get every person, get Kelly off the floor, get Caleb off the floor, get Andre. I don't need them playing tonight, man. Is this the finale? Is this the last preseason game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then I'm
Bucks
I'm
are
I'm
next.
good. I'm 1000% good.
I
If
do
Reggie
agree,
Jackson,
man.
I would start like Reggie Jackson, Adem Bona, just like no, I'm 1000% good on risking any of these guys right before the season starts because we're already seeing what happens. We already had to worry about Joel, and you get PG, and now you get Jared, and I don't need any more scares tonight. My heart can't take it before the season starts.
Yeah, tonight is the last night of preseason as a whole, so everybody's last
All
preseason
right.
game is tonight. So yeah, I doubt we see any starters, any main rotational pieces. That's something that we can discuss, and I'm interested to hear some of Martian's thoughts because I know Martian is there's 41 people in here. I don't know how many are Sixers fans is what I'm trying to say, but I'm interested to know where the rotation should stop this year.
I know. I
Because I
know.
don't see a clear marker
I know.
on where the rotation should stop.
Something Scotty and I were texting about during the preseason game was just how some of these guys looked and how excited we are for the season. And it almost like doesn't feel real to have all of this like talent across, all this depth. And
Yeah,
when, we haven't even seen Joel Embiid on the floor with these guys, obviously PG's only played, you know, 3
2
quarters
games.
combined
Yeah,
about in a Sixers
yeah,
uniform in the preseason. And now we have to worry about him, etc. Um, I don't know where I would stop it, man. And obviously I think what I would do and what Nick Nurse is going to do with some of the guys deeper down the bench is a little different, right?
yeah,
Like I said this to you before, like I think Reggie Jackson can help this team off the bench.
yeah.
From the preseason looks of it, I would say Reggie Jackson's probably a little lower on the totem pole for Nick Nurse.
You think so?
I think like
What
Lowry
what
not
makes you
playing,
think
I think
that?
is arresting. Like I think the rapport that Nurse and Lowry have, the familiarity of Lowry starting last year, like I just think Kyle's gonna have a role, at least to
Yeah,
start off the bench.
yeah,
McCain now being hurt might, raise Reggie Jackson a little bit more. But even like when you get down towards the forwards, right? Like in starting who and who, like dude,
yeah,
KJ Martin, like, and rightfully so, like, has looked really good. But that was a guy before the year started, before preseason started, that I would have had like 13th on my list of depth. And right now, it seems like he's probably going to be a bit higher getting called up off the bench.
yeah,
So we can run through it, right? Like, let's just say healthy. Like, let's start like we're not worried about injuries, right? So
yeah, yeah.
you are going to have Maxey, Embiid, PG. Let's just say they start Caleb and Kelly, right? Let's just throw those 5 out
The
there
best players.
because
Yeah.
those 5 are going to be in the rotation regardless. So those 5, right? You are going to have
Lowry.
are you going to have Lowry and Andre Drummond? That's 7.
Yeah,
Eric Gordon, I texted you this in the first quarter. He only had to play 7 minutes. Eric Gordon has been
I think he's gonna
consistently
play.
splashing from 40 feet and
Yeah,
is actually playing defense and plucking steals. I think in 7 minutes, Eric Gordon had like 8 points, a block, 2 steals, 2 rebounds, and an assist. So Eric Gordon to me is in the rotation. That's 8. I think Yabusele can help this team
Yabusele.
immediately. I
Yeah,
think that's 9. Um, then you have a Reggie Jackson, that's 10. You have a Jared McCain, that's 11. You have KJ Martin, that's 12.
KJ Martin.
You have a Ricky Council, that's
Ricky
13.
Council. He's gonna get playing time somehow. Ricky Council will play this year. And
So
rightfully so. I think he brings another facet to the team. Like that's the thing. They all bring different styles to the
yeah,
team as well. They all can come on the court and get their own bucket as well. Even Jared McCain is showing signs that he can get his own bucket off the dribble.
correct.
He's not relying on guys to just get him open 3-pointers. Um, Even Jeff Doughton Jr., man. I text you that the other night. Like, don't think he's going to be in the
Yeah.
rotation by any means.
I think Jeff
He's
Doughton
such
could
a
play.
smooth player,
I
man.
think Jeff Doughton can play in the NBA, but just for what this team is built, for
The
my
experience we have.
mental state, I just need him to stay out of it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want it to be a conversation just because like there's so many options. It's like, man, adding another young player to the mix is gonna be like, oh my God, what
Yeah.
is he gonna do?
He's just another like reliable
Right,
guy that you
right.
can have. Maybe Kyle Lowry needs a night off. Reggie
Right.
Jackson needs a night off.
And here's the thing,
But
man. We know in the postseason benches shrink.
yeah,
So when you're looking ahead, I would argue 9 in the post. Is that what I think Nick's, because of injuries, he's really only played really like 8 or so. But with this depth, he might be able to really play 9 this postseason. But the regular season, when you're figuring out that rotation and how to shrink it, what do you think he caps it off at? Because 13 guys aren't playing. So 13 guys are going to play on different nights. Like, I think there could be nights where Reggie Jackson plays and someone else doesn't. I think there could be night where he's a DNP. Same thing with Ricky Council and KJ Martin. But like, you don't have enough time to play 13 players. So
I think
who's on the short end of the stick?
Council would be my first guy X'd out. I think Reggie Jackson would fall out there. I think McCain, if he, it depends how he develops over the season, like if he can carve out a real role. But still, I think even then his minutes are going to be like really limited in the postseason. Just being a rookie, you're just not going to play that much. He's going to trust guys like Lowry. Lowry is going to be in the rotation.
Do you think it's
Drummond and Yabu? Drummond and Yabu is interesting because Drummond, for whatever reason, on other teams seems to fall out of the playoff rotation for whatever reason. I don't know if that's going to happen here, but Yabusele, Drummond, I think that they, depending on matchups, is kind of what I'm getting at. Like smaller teams, maybe you go Yabu. Bigger teams, maybe you go Drummond. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there, but I think.
But Yabu can also play the 4.
Yeah, those two are going to be in my playoff rotation. I would believe. Eric Gordon.
Yeah. As of right now, I think that would be the 9 to 10. I think it's the starting 5 we laid out, plus Lowry, Gordon, Drummond, and Yabusele. I think that's.
And then I think like McCain and KJ would be kind of those like X factors. Could get 2 minutes one night, could get 10, 12 minutes another night if they're like doing something right. But I think those would be the other guys like Council, Reggie Jackson. I just don't know if there is enough variance to need to include them.
The good thing is though, man, and it sucks. And a guy like Reggie Jackson, who's
like
an NBA champion, so do I, would have to understand, or even like a McCain, if he's not getting minutes right away, is it's the NBA. Injuries are going to happen. You have a team. You have a team. Not that it's your position, like with center and forward with Paul George, but you have a team that's going to be load managing guys. Injuries are going to occur. Having that depth there, that's my point, man. Like, God forbid, God forbid there's a moment where McCain and Lowry are both out for a time being.
Yeah.
Well, you have Reggie Jackson that can back up.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much layers.
I was going to say, I don't know if like Reggie Jackson is like necessarily out of the rotation because he hasn't played that much in the preseason. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask. See, that's what I'm confused about. Because
like 10 minutes,
I would say the same thing about. But I would say the same thing about Ricky Council, though.
Let me see, Ricky Council.
I think he only played like 12 minutes. Because that's what I was thinking, right? Like some of these guys that Nick has penciled in, does he need to see less of them and more of others? But then I go, I'm not so sure about that because.
So Council has played 22 in the first game, 14 against Minnesota, which was when PG played. Is that correct? The first one?
Yes.
Maybe. Minnesota. So his minutes went down there a little bit. Against Boston, he got 24, 12 against Atlanta, and then 21. Against Brooklyn, so
they're
he's getting his run,
fluctuating him,
and I think McCain is getting a lot of run right now, right? And I think Reggie Jackson might dig into some of that. Like Reggie Jackson had 7 minutes against Brooklyn, Doughton had 19, McCain had 23, Council had 21, Yabusele had 20. But I don't know. You're right.
You know what it is about that
backcourt, 21,
Scotty? I think there's
Oubre had 21, Maxey had 17.
Of being able to inject veteran presence and winning along with youth. And what I mean by like, we just never have one of the guys. Like you have a Reggie Jackson, you have a Kyle Lowry back there who are both NBA champions, right? Who are veteran presences and know how to do, know how to handle pressure late in games and in the postseason. But you also have a kid in McCain who you see other teams have a young budding guy that comes in and helps, generate offense where maybe Reggie Jackson isn't it this year. Maybe he just doesn't fit. Maybe it's not working. but then you have a Jared McCain who does work. Like, you have a balance of, if the youth for McCain is too much, you have veteran presence. If the age is showing for them, you have a guy like McCain. So, I know we've harped on this roster all summer long, but it is just 100% the truth, man. Like, me and you were literally texting in the second to last preseason game in mid-October saying, dude, I can't wait for this fucking season and just how different it can look. So,
like, once again, Justin Edwards, right, out of Kentucky, comes out, just has flashes. And like, I'm not asking for him to play.
I know.
Like, I'm not. But it's just nice to see guys that can actually hoop. It just feels like so many times over the years, we've taken, like, projects. Guys that weren't developed yet, right? Like a Matisse Thybulle that can't shoot or impact a game offensively. Now we have a bunch of guys that can dribble, they can shoot, they can finish at the rim. And it's exciting, man. It's exciting to have, like, competency at the GM spot. Quite honestly, I think it's Daryl Morey. I really do. I think it's Daryl Morey.
Well,
he puts out these, like, clips on YouTube of these basketball highlights, and it's like he probably does sit there and fucking watch basketball highlight after basketball highlight after basketball highlight and finds which players he wants on his team.
The grace every Sixers fan should be giving Daryl Morey right now is there are a lot of people that still aren't sold on him and that are very impatient. And what I mean is he came over here and first he had to clean up some messes. First, he had to clean up some very bad contracts, and then he drafts Tyrese Maxey, and then he's doing a lot of different things early on. The Doc Rivers hire, all right, that's Daryl's. You can chalk that up as a bad one, although I can't remember if Daryl came first or if Doc came first. I'm forgetting the order, so it might not even have been Daryl's hire.
I think Doc was here first.
So then that's not even his coach. So he had to clean up a lot of messes early on, and then over the last year and a half to 2 years, right, he is laid out there, and people had talked about this particular offseason. So that tells you there was a plan. And he has delivered on paper that plan. So that's why I think he deserves a lot of grace. Because
Jay Trinidad, we're going to have some beef this year between Maxey and Brunson. I'm telling you right now, Tyrese Maxey is going to be better than Jalen Brunson this year.
I got to add I want to get this out in the open now before we start the season, right? So if I can admit, as a Sixers fan, do I think it's overplayed? Yes, I do. But if I can admit that Embiid is a bit of a foul baiter, can you admit that Jalen Brunson is a foul baiter? I want to see how this conversation is. Do you admit that Jalen Brunson is the ultimate foul baiter?
If he can agree, then he can be non-biased at times.
Then there's some but. Oh, here comes the ... I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna say.
Brunson doesn't get a pass for me, man. Not after you do what you did to us in the playoffs. Yeah. No. He had a great playoff series,
and that's fair. Listen, and Scotty and I have talked about this. Jalen Brunson is phenomenal. Yeah, when we talk about the Brunson Maxey, just because they play the same position, etc. Yeah. When we talk about it, people give Brunson
really high on Maxey.
What?
I'm just really high on Maxey. It's not that I'm low on Brunson.
It's not even that. It's like when national people are comparing to, or like you talked about with the MVP conversation of last year. It's like if you compare the stats, A, they're really close, and then B, it's like one dude is going on 29 years old and the other dude is 23. So but they act like Jalen Brunson is like this young, newly developed player. Like, no, like Jalen Brunson's
approaching 30.
Like in his prime, like should be in his prime right now at 28 years old.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey is 3 years younger than I am.
He's 23 years old. It's crazy.
And what was the difference in numbers last year? Brunson averaged like 1.5 points or 2 points more than Maxey.
Yeah,
I think slightly higher rebound rate. Like they were very, very close across the board. And one dude gets talked about like he's the best point guard in the world and he's an MVP at 28 years old. And the other dude is, we got to see. And that's the part that's crazy. So it's going to be an interesting battle this year, man. It really is. And I said this to you before, like I guess the argument last year could have been, Brunson's help, the team around Brunson versus Maxey when you have Joel Embiid next to you. Well, you can't argue that this year. Yeah, Maxey has a loaded team around him. Well,
yeah, Brunson does too.
You just traded for Cat.
People argue that the
re-signed
Knicks are
OG
better than the
Anunoby.
Sixers roster-wise, right? Like, well, then there's no excuses. The thing for me this year between Brunson and Maxey, especially when the Knicks and the Sixers match up, the next step for Maxey would be taking the challenge of guarding Jalen Brunson. Now, I know you don't want him to do it full time,
and being more
because you don't
serious.
want to get him in foul trouble.
I do think,
but,
to be fair, there's something to what he's saying, but I think that's the youth I'm talking about. I think at 22 years old, when you're playing with the MVP, and when he was 21, he's playing with the MVP and James Harden and a $180 million man, Tobias Harris, who's going to get the ball. He's just. I think this is the year. I think this is the pin. I think this is when everything meets, where Tyrese Maxey becomes that star within the stars and surrounds himself with all of them. So
I think it takes it takes a step back in the regular season. Sounds bad, but
I know
we don't need you to go out and score 35 a game this year. Like, just don't. We want you healthy for the postseason. That is the goal. Same thing with Paul George. Like, we don't need Paul George to come out here and resurrect himself into a 30-point per game guy. Like, no, that's Maxey. He's the young 23-year-old that can go out and get buckets.
He's the legs. He's the energy.
He's the legs.
He's the motor behind it. And then
man.
PG and Embiid just have to be the fin. Like, when you get to closing in on the finish line, that's where the most dominant big man in the world comes in. That's where the experienced Paul George, who can shoot 12 threes a game, can come in, surround it. So I do agree. It's going to be, I don't want to say frustrating. It's going to be an up and down regular season because of all the new weapons and seeing Paul. It's going to be a little disappointing and flattening when it's like, oh, Paul George ain't playing tonight for Red. It's like, but at the end of the day, we understand as fans what the end goal is, because, man, the fans just have you seen the outrage against Embiid's plan from Sixers fans?
Yeah, it's dumb.
So when he cares about the regular season and plays too much and too hard and wins an MVP, you guys say he needs to focus more on the playoffs and less about himself in the regular season. Now he's talking about getting himself to the playoffs healthy so they can win a championship. And you guys are mad that he's not going to play back-to-backs. He shouldn't play fucking back-to-backs. He shouldn't. The only way in which Joel Embiid should be playing a back-to-back is in March, if the Sixers have underachieved all year and they're fighting for a playoff spot and need to win these games. That is the only world. And at that point, who cares if they even make the fucking playoffs?
He doesn't
if they're that low down, which they won't be. I'm just saying that's the only world in which he should see the floor in that situation.
He doesn't need to play back-to-backs at all, man.
No.
Honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, I said this the other day on the NBA show. There's no back-to-backs in the postseason. There's nothing you're preparing for that has any significance that you are prepping by playing in a back-to-back. It's not going to happen in a postseason. It doesn't happen. You never play a game on Monday and then a game on Tuesday. So it's completely pointless, other than to create this extra challenge in a regular season that doesn't hold a lot of weight if you're going to make the postseason anyway. So, I think it's the ideal plan. It's what the plan should have been the last 2 years after he won MVP. The goal is to keep Embiid healthy. I wanted to ask you this.
Yeah.
Out of Oubre and Caleb Martin, who do you think has the better season? I know we're more excited for Caleb because he's a new piece.
Yeah.
But who has the better season?
All right, let me divide this in two. I think Kelly Oubre Jr. has the bigger numbers. I think Kelly can average, even with all this talent, I think Kelly can average 14, 15 points per game, where maybe Caleb's maybe at 9 points per game, 8 points per game, maybe even a little lower. But I think Caleb's, especially when we're talking postseason, I think the differences within the margins that Caleb Martin will provide will be the bigger bonus to the Sixers team. I think the defensive side of the ball, I think hitting clutch threes when needed. I think the passing that Martian has talked about, those entry passes when things get tight in a half court, can you find the guy to get the ball to Joel Embiid in an advantage on the block? So, yeah, I think Kelly, like, especially regular season, I think Kelly, we saw what he did offensively the other night. Like,
Yeah,
I just don't think there's going to be a world. Like, I think Kelly still has that mindset. Like, Kelly just scored. Kelly wants to get to the rack. Kelly wants to be aggressive, etc. I think there's a laid backness to Caleb Martin, even personality wise.
yeah,
Like, I think he looks at it like, I got all this. I got Paul. I got Tyrese. I got so when I'm open or if I have an isolation that I can take advantage on, I will.
yeah,
But I don't think I don't think you're going to see many examples of Caleb Martin forcing something in
yeah,
isolation and trying to get to the rack
yeah,
and trying to draw. I just don't think you're going to see that. So I think maybe he averages like 8-9 points a game. Kelly averages like 13 points a game, 14 points a game. But the difference is on both sides of the ball, the little things. I think Caleb Martin's impact will be higher in the postseason.
It's interesting because the reason I asked that I was listening to Oubre's interview with Taryn Hatcher, I think it was the other night before or like during the game, and he was talking about like what he worked on this offseason and how he's kind of coming in a little bit more composed this year, and really focused on like passing, out of like driving to the lane, passing out of drives, getting other guys the ball, entry passes to Embiid. Like he said, he has been working on a lot of those little things just to fit this team specifically a little bit more, shooting the 3-point ball a little bit more this offseason. So it will be interesting if he can make those adjustments to it's kind of like Caleb Martin in a sense, just being that Swiss Army knife. If you can have two of those guys, that's going to be it's going to be pretty crazy. But I do think like this offseason has kind of caused Kelly Oubre to go a little undervalued in a sense of just what he's going to bring to the team as well. I'm excited for Caleb Martin. I think Caleb Martin probably will be the more impactful player, especially come postseason.
Yeah.
But I think Kelly Oubre is going to be very valuable at times to us as well, man. He's the guy that can get hot, go for 20 that night, and maybe that
I
gets you
did
a W
listen,
on the
man.
road one night. But
I know everyone gets focused on the new toys, right? It's like Christmas
yeah,
Day with all these new fun players. But I do agree with you. Like that discourse between Kelly and Caleb and like there's way too much negativity. Even if it's not a
yeah,
lot of
pitting them
negativity, the
against
little
each
bit
other.
is too much. When it comes to Kelly Oubre, like I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
Like, just be happy he's here. Be happy Caleb Martin's a Sixer. Same
Yeah,
thing. Like
they're both gonna
I haven't
contribute.
seen it, but you mentioned the Andre Drummond talk, like from people like 2-3 preseason games ago. I think it was the game after
Yeah,
he had like 10 points and 15 boards in like
yeah,
15 minutes, and you were saying you were seeing tweets from people. What, dude?
yeah. I did, man. I did.
Wha- What? What?
There's people that say he is the worst. He's like the worst center in the postseason or whatever. When
Oh,
he
okay,
gets to the
yeah. No,
postseason,
yeah,
gets
you
run
guys
off
are so
the
right
floor
because he's gonna be playing more than like 11 minutes a game in the postseason, right?
with
You guys are
Embiid, right?
yeah, let's compare his stats as a 30-minute guy in the postseason to what his role is going to be behind the best center in the world. You idiots. Like, dude, I swear to God,
I
people
feel
just
it.
can't
I
stop. They
feel it,
can't
man.
get out of their own way, man. They really can't.
Jared McCain does appear to be all right. I mean, that's one of the weirdest injuries I've ever seen. I was
Yeah.
a little worried about him, just with the coughing and stuff. Obviously, that's my Duke guy, so there's a little bit more attachment there for me. But I was worried about him, man. He was coughing and stuff, so I thought maybe he broke a rib or maybe something was hitting him in the
I
lung,
think
causing him
doesn't
to
he have
cough.
like
So
a something like I
bruised
don't
pulmonary, like something
yeah,
like
like
that, like a
I was
bruised
gonna say
heart
I
or
don't want to
something.
sound stupid,
Like,
but like a borderline like heart contusion, like something like I have no idea what they said, dude. I was like,
right. It was
what?
pulmonary contusion or something like that.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
I don't know. It was
But
weird. It's not bad, Jay
yeah,
Trinidad. Like it's not supposed to cost him any significant time. Same thing with Paul George. Apparently, they're evaluating him to play in the opener against Milwaukee. I doubt he plays. I
yeah,
wouldn't like
no.
risk anything. But the fact that they're even evaluating it, right? A bone bruise on the knee. So they were both very scary injuries, to say the least. But it looks like we may have gotten lucky for once. Knock on wood,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. No,
But
I agree, man. But uh Last
be a
little
fun
thing here.
series.
I know Martian's going to be happy, but we're getting out of here in 2 or 3 minutes. The last little piece of conversation here. Flyers lose last night 6-4 in Seattle. They're done with
Oh
the
man.
fucking West Coast trip. No more 10 p.m. start times until I think like January 12th or something like that I saw. So we don't have to worry about staying up late for Flyers after dark. But they lose last night in regulation, so they don't get a point in Seattle. They come home 1-2-1, 3 points tallied on the year, like I said before. I believe Mitch Kov got another point last night for you on
Dude.
the power play goal to
Yeah.
Drysdale. So that was big from a betting perspective. Just with this team, man, just I don't know why Fedotov started last night. I texted you that. Like, I thought Ersan was starting. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, after we put our Flyers money line bet in, Fedotov is starting. And he's bad, dude. Like,
He's not it. Yeah.
like, he's not even like backup level. Okay. And you had a day off in between. So I don't know why he's gotten the same amount of starts as Sam Ersan. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's the little things, Scotty. Like, I don't know if you were tuned in at the time, but
I
the goal.
watched the first period and then I watched a little bit into the second period and then I passed out. But
So if you watch the goal, I believe where the Kraken went up 3-2, he takes a shot literally like in the belly and just lets up a rebound right in front of the crease. Like that should have been handled so easily from a goalie
yeah,
in the NHL. Like it should have just been a face off to the left of him and cover up, and instead it just leaks out right over here. He's slow recovering, bang, goal. Literally 8 seconds later, they score again, and then they score again, and it's like, all right, well, the game's over. Flyers try to come back in the third period, doesn't happen. He lets up another goal to go up 6-4 towards the end of the third. So he's not it. The defense, the back end of this defense is like the pair of oh my God, who's paired up with Ristolainen? Zamula. Zamula and Ristolainen, that D pair is not it. I believe they were the pair on the ice that when we won the faceoff, Zamula tried a cross ice pass, gets turned over. They're both 2 feet apart from each other, but somehow allow the Kraken to gain a 3-on-2 advantage. And then the Kraken score 8 seconds after scoring their previous goal. So the defense on the back end isn't good enough. And then I think some of it's their youth, man. I don't know if you've noticed this, at least the last 2 games, Edmonton and the Kraken, they are not a good second period team to start the year so far.
Yeah.
Like the Flyers were winning 2-1 heading into both second periods, specifically last night. The Flyers gave up 3 goals in the second period, scored none. We're trailing 5-2 heading in the third, and we're outshot like 16-2 in the second period. Same thing with the game against Edmonton. They were up 2-1, and then I think they were losing 3-2 heading into the third period, or no, they were leading 3-2 at some point. But regardless, like they got dominated in the second period, so they got to clean that up. Coming out of intermission, they have to be better. They can't just rely on trying for a comeback in the third period. The youth is showing. The backup goalie stinks, and the back end of this defense stinks, man. But nonetheless, I think that's
home.
I think you have to realize this team is fun. Like it was still a fun game to watch. Like they came back. It was 5-4 in the third period at some point. They're fun. There's going to be, from a betting perspective, especially when you look at the stud Mitch Kov, there's going to be things to look at. They are coming home. No more late starts, etc. And the thing I think Flyers fans, I know Martian doesn't really care, and other people in the chat don't care too much. But if you are like a diehard Flyers fan, or if you're a Philly fan that just think like, why is everyone so hype about this team? They have committed. They have committed to the rebuild, and they're within it, and they are about, I would say, 2 to 3 years off, Scotty, like from being like a top 5 to 8 team in the NHL. Like they have the first cornerstone, and Luchenko might turn out to be another one. You locked up Konechny. Like there are guys, there are pieces, but the big piece, like the cornerstone, the franchise changer, Mitchkov, he's here. And they have assets, they have draft picks coming up. They just have to continue to build, and that's what you have to do, man, because you have to get bad. Like in order to get good, you have to get bad first, and that's what this team did. But we got to get out of here, man, because I got to go get a haircut in 13 minutes.
Yes, sir.
So, guys, with that said, if you're watching on Twitter right now, make sure to head on over to the YouTube channel specifically. Make sure to smash that subscribe button. Help us get to our first 200 subs. Follow on Twitter. Follow on all social media platforms. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Darius, Martian, Trinidad, keep the comments chugging along this Sunday, this Monday, and we'll continue to be here for you guys each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Peace out, everybody.
Peace, everybody. Happy